Hey, Satanico here for God Loves Comics, and this is going to be part 10 of the Swamp Thing reading. And if you want to know what happened before, go back and listen to episode 9. But I can only say that Swamp Thing encountered the Parliament of Trees, where he expected some incredible answers to all of his questions. Instead, he got some very cryptic sort of responses that you might expect from ancient trees, perhaps. Constantine ran into a lot of trouble, along with Swamp Thing to a degree, in encountering the Brujeria in Latin America, which is a cult that wears human skin waistcoats, and they have a plan, just an unbelievably ambitious plan that goes way beyond the typical we're going to take over the world sort of thing. And they are genuinely brutal. And one of Swamp Thing's confederates, Judith, sort of aligned herself with the Brujeria and allowed herself to be turned into a bird that will help bring about their sort of Armageddon. And unlike typical comics where someone would just wave a magic wand or say abracadabra and turn her into a bird and snap their fingers, this was a human being transformed into a bird in a very bizarre and sort of grotesque way that Alan Moore's imagination would facilitate. So it was pretty grim. And so that's pretty much where we are. And one other key plot element is that Abby, who is still back in Louisiana, a muckraking photojournalist, actually was wondering about the bayou, taking some photos, caught Swamp Thing and Abby in flagrante, sort of making out. And to him, of course, Swamp Thing looks like what he is, this horrific monster, this bizarre creature. And it was assumed that he's a man wearing a suit, but a really grotesque sort of perversion that has gotten Abby now in trouble with the authorities, who think that she's into some sort of perversion that affects her working around children. So that is the other lingering plot element that is left unanswered up until now. This is issue number 49. This is graphic novel number 4, and this cover is by Stephen Bissett and John Totleben once again. And this is Swamp Thing. Oops. Right off to a great start. A dark bird was flying beneath the ground. In its beak it carried a dark pearl. The summoning had started. That was all I could think about. The swamp creature crouched over me, snapping my chains like Christmas decorations, wiping mud from my face while I screamed at him to get the bird. Get the bird, please just get the bloody bird. But it was too late. Summoning had started. The pearl it carried was grown within the cold oyster of everyone's worst nightmares, a distilled mouthful of horror. The bird would take it to a place beyond maps, where it would wake something beyond naming. The bird had gone. And I'd planned for 2 years, and I'd seen 4 friends die and 1 corrupted, and I'd been too late. The bird is the one who's been corrupted. All of his previous 4 friends died pretty much in a couple of prior issues. After recovering from the swamp creature's arrival, the Brujeria realized I'd blown it. They started moving in with man-skinned vests and confident smiles. I was so upset I nearly passed the cigarettes round. Constantine, get out of the caves. What's the point? We screwed up. Might as well finish it here, then stick around for what's coming next. I said go. Ugh. The Englishman spoke truly, creature. No point running, no point fighting, not even you. Our power is strong here. Fools, you are in a cave beneath the clean earth, in the center of the rainforest. You do not even have a chance. You can see Swamp Thing wreaking havoc upon them with all sorts of roots. And this issue is titled The Summoning. And once again, the art is by Stan Wack and Alfredo Aquila. Running blind down dark tunnels, following the bird's route, I heard granite thunderclouds grinding together and old men screaming. I remembered what it had been like under the mud and kept moving. A tidal wave of soil followed me down the last stretch of the tunnel, surging along rock arteries. From the flooded chamber at the cave system's heart, the screams had stopped. I reached daylight, seconds ahead of the gushing earth. I sat in the Patagonian sunlight, coughing and shaking, and wishing the mud hadn't ruined my last pack of silk-cut cigarettes. After a while, the Swamp Thing joined me. Pwack. That's the Swamp Thing right at his feet, that little twig re-emerging. We discussed the situation. In between my spluttering and the creature's normal talking speed, it took a long time. The bird had flown, gone to wake a power that would level heaven. We couldn't alter that. But if we couldn't stop the entity coming back, at least we could be ready for when it arrived. This was my contingency plan. Although obviously we'd need help, we'd also have to split up. I suggested he get in touch with his contacts and ask for assistance while I did the same with mine. Then we separated, literally in his case, and I gave up the perpetual South American summer for winter in Georgetown. So how about it, Baron? You've heard the story. You know what the stakes are. Do you want in on this or not? Constantine, you succeed where the rest of the 20th century fails. You amaze me. You ask if I want in, when you mean, can I borrow your house? For a jumped-up London street thug, your nerve is extraordinary. Yeah, well, I practice. Listen, Winter, I know we've had our differences in the past, but this job's important. Something drastic's bearing down. We need every available hand. The threat will surface in the afterworlds, beyond Earth. The Swamp Thing's contacts will deal with that, but we Earthbound types can help them from here. All we need is a suitable base of operations. Constantine, if this threat is what you say, I'll assemble my night force to handle it without the assistance of amateurs. I heard about the mess you made in Newcastle. Now please, I must be alone. I'm busy. So this is a character from Night Force, which I believe was created by Marv Wolfman and Gene Colan. And because I vaguely remember like a 16-page insert in a New Teen Titans. It was not particularly well drawn at the time, even though I like Gene Colan's work. But this is, once again, another example of Alan Moore taking peripheral characters from the DC universe, making them crucial to his plot line, and usually adding a lot more depth to the characters than was ever present before. Busy my arse. What is it, mate? Is it that you've got the needle because I'm a rival operator and you think you're too good to mingle? Well, in terms of ability, there are obvious differences. Oh yeah, listen. Just across the street from your front door, there's a hot dog stand. I feel suddenly peckish. Why don't you nip out and fetch me one? Shouldn't be beyond a man of your capabilities, eh? Don't be stupid. Why should I want to? Go on, you're so bloody omnipotent. Walk across the street and get me a hot dog. I can't leave the house at present. Right, you can't. So let's not hear any more about these obvious differences in ability. Bloody hell. I'd have thought you'd be pleased to help. Sargon volunteered like a shot. Sargon? Really? Well, perhaps if he's prepared to trust you, I might conceivably allow. That's the ticket, Baron. I knew I could rely on the aristocracy. Listen, I've got people to visit. I'll call later with details. But I should expect a crowd. You know how it is when we mystic types get wind of something like this. We all come running. Birds of a feather, Baron. Birds of a feather. Presumably the Baron could not go outside in the daytime. But I'm not exactly positive if that's what they're implying. Over the world, a bird was flying, a ragged black note on the stave of the wind, too high for all but the rarest ears. In Salem, at the house without doors or corners, a gold mask began to whisper to itself, voice dry as Egypt. A man left his bed to answer it. His beautiful, ageless wife turned on her side and wept. And that is the mask of Dr. Fate. Always a very cool character. The bird flew on, and the taste of the pearl in its beak was unspeakable. As it passed beyond the frayed edges of our agreed reality, it screeched once, then continued on its way. In a big city of small horrors, one of the night's oldest legends woke suddenly from the fragmented dreams of hands clasped around a table, crows and death. Uncharacteristically disturbed, Dr. Occult sat awake until dawn. The bird continued flapping mournfully over the fog-bound shorelines of the waking world and beyond the walls of sleep. Outside, the crumbling mansions of the unconscious two brothers looked up and saw the bird pass, then fell to arguing about its species. Eventually, Cain choked Abel to death with his own necktie. The bickering paused, and for a while there was silence. He keeps returning back to this Cain and Abel from the House of Secrets and House of Mystery, where Cain repeatedly kills Abel, and then Abel returns to life, I guess, by the next day, and this pattern perpetually repeats. No noise, no anxiety, no color save for green. After Constantine explains his new plan, I leave him and let myself merge with the soul of a planet. After the terrors of the cave, it is so calming. But Constantine said that I must go beyond the green to that place where I have ventured once before, and these pleasant, weightless pastures are not my destination. As I released my hold upon the world, so too do I let go of the drifting continuum about me. I fix my mind upon those clouded regions just beyond the realm of the living, the lobby of eternity, the region of the just dead. The place through which those who live most reluctantly trudge when life's pleasures are concluded. But I don't want to go back. I like it here. Listen, This is a big enough screw up already. Don't make it hard on both of us. They've given you a cardiac massage. They're reviving you. You'll have to go back. No way, Jose. Listen, my life was lousy. I owed the Internal Revenue. My marriage was a mess. I hated my kids. I ain't going back. I have a right to be dead. Oh, hi, listen. Can you talk to this guy? Hey, what's this? This is some sort of demon, right? The kind that takes people down to a... Hey, listen, maybe I might reconsider. They gave me a cardiac massage, you say? That's right. Well, maybe I ought to go back, to thank them properly. You guys take care. Sure. See you later.
What was that about?
Don't ask. Another cardiac massage. They really make a mess out of the schedules up here. So anyway, what brings you to these parts? You didn't misplace your old lady again. The always charming Deadman. One of the great characters. One of the great character designs. I've always enjoyed Deadman. I fear our visitor's mission is less personal than when he ventured hence to retrieve a lover's soul, and perhaps our great edge of greater urgency. I believe he has come seeking the assistance of friends, the comfort of strangers. The phantom stranger. Don't you ever knock? One of these days you'll turn up like that and scare somebody to death. Not here. Although I fear even heaven may soon enough know destruction and mortality soon enough.
You know of the threat to heaven? When we met during the crisis, you hinted as much.
All he ever does is hint. What's supposed to be happening? Doom, Boston Brand. Doom is happening. A message has been sent by a carrier bird summoning a terrible shadow that will fall upon paradise. Bird? I saw a bird pass through this region earlier. I thought it was a fluke of the ectoplasm.
Would that it were. Please, let us hurry. If we are to stand against the coming darkness, there are those that we must have beside us, and I fear they will not all come willingly.
Why should I help you? During the crisis, I stood before the dawn of time to aid humanity. Haven't I done enough? Sir, we need you. You've noticed how the psychic atmosphere has changed the last year. Outbreaks of lycanthropy, vampirism, reanimation. You name it. The Brujeria did that as a prelude to the annihilation of everything good. Good. What do I care for good? In my life I have embraced both good and evil, that my knowledge of each should be complete. Sargon the sorcerer does not play favorites. This is reading Hieronymus Bosch, a review. Hieronymus Bosch, a legendarily grotesque artist. And, of course, Constantine lied a little bit, as is his wont, because he told the Baron that Sargon was already on board, and that gave him a little bit of credibility with the Baron, but, of course, Sargon is not on board. Constantine is here trying to convince him to join. Neither does Baron Winter, but he offered us the use of his house without question. Another lie? Winter did. I should like to see the interior of that fascinating mansion once more. He guards his secrets so jealously. Well, we'd be honored if someone of your experience would join us, although we could get into some dangerous territory once things start happening. Dangerous? Please, young man, don't concern yourself on my account. I've been there. So he told Sargon one thing, he told Baron Winter another thing, and by bouncing off those lies off of each of them and their credibility, they were both interested in the other, and so Perhaps they're both on board as a result of Constantine's typical machinations. Hey, are we sure we're going the right way? I've never been as far as this before. We're in the halfway territories between heaven and the vast ruination beyond. It is here we will find the one we seek.
Are you sure that one such as he will stoop to help us?
In the face of what the Brujeria have called up, if his help is refused, we are lost. We must find the Spectre. There is no need to search, walker of the pathways, between shade and substance. The thing you seek is all about you. And that's pretty fascinating. It looks like they're walking across sort of snowy mountains or barren rock or whatever. And in fact, now we see this. By this panel, we recognize that all of these prior panels is just a vast torso, and that's the underside of his jawline, and suddenly his face leans up. And this is echoing a previous issue, many issues back, where Deadman, Phantom Stranger, Spectre, and the Demon all helped Swamp Thing recover Abby from hell, so. In their own ways, of course. Spectre, if you know of our presence, then you know why we have come here. Of course. You are following the Dark Bird. I heard its wings beating over the heaven, traveling past into these dusk latitudes beyond. I saw the glint of the pearl in its beak. And you did nothing to stop it? Spectre, this bird will bring back a horror beyond even your imaginings. It will bring back the original darkness. Then let it. I have heard of this original darkness, a whispered legend, even in this place where all is legend. Let the bird's pearl talisman wake it up. Let it crawl back into the light. Where my great wrath may shrivel it to dust once and for all time, I am the final champion of that voice which speaks in all things. I shall be there when I am needed. And perhaps at last an adversary will be found to truly test my worth. Go now. Know that the Spectre stands beside you, and be reassured. Reassured? Is he crazy? He let that bird through and he'd have something big enough to scrap with? I fear that you're right. Come, we must continue towards hell, hoping that all existence does not soon follow us into hell. The bird continues flying on ominously, and you can see this pretty cool panel in which you see the giant feet and almost Peter Pan-like slippers of the Spectre walking off. The Spectre has an interesting take on this. He is on their side, but he wants it to come. John, can you slow down a little? This is difficult to follow. You say the Brujeria are destroyed, but their plan is still going on. That's right. Within roughly 8 hours, the pearl will be delivered and the darkness will be coming back. What exactly is the darkness? Is it Satan? More than Satan, my love. Much more than Satan. It's the primordial shadow itself. Evil is just a part of what it is. If it can't be contained in the spirit world, I don't see what help this soiree at Barham Winters will be. I've got it all planned out. There's a way we can channel our collective energies through the higher territories aiding the struggle. If you and Satana could help, I'd be obliged. Bah, I don't know. Well, you can count on me. When do we leave for Georgetown? Wait a minute. I remember you, Constantine. I'm not sure I want you abducting my daughter and filling her head with this modern-style occultism. Father, don't be stupid. I'm a grown woman. No buts. If you're determined to go along with this, then I shall escort you. Now please, see Mr. Constantine out. We must pack. Well, at least he's agreed to come, if not for the right reasons. He's never trusted me. Not since he found out that we were attending those tantric studies group together. Well, that's pretty funny. Oh, the one in San Francisco? That was a long time ago. I'd forgotten. Forgotten? Well, that's very flattering, that is. I hadn't forgotten. You had your old costume on then. Pity you changed it. Yeah, indeed. Oh, come on, John. A top hat and fishnet stockings? Yeah, well, I liked it. Probably why I never got far as a magician. Too concerned with the delights of the physical world. Come on, get out before Dad changes you into something lower than you already are. That's not possible. Take care, gal. I'll see you and Zatara later at Winter's place. Kiss. Goodbye, John. You haven't changed. You've still got a hell of a nerve. Yeah, well, it's a hell of a world. Good dialogue. And lots of references to sort of the past of these characters, the top hat and the fishnets, which was a pretty ridiculous costume, but enjoyable in its own comic booky fashion. Stranger, listen. This is it. I'm not going any further. I'm way off my home turf already. There is no further to go. Beyond this is hell. Beyond hell, only the raging, incoherent chaoplasm.
Will we find Etrigan here? He is the last that Constantine instructed me to gather.
Etrigan? Isn't he the one of the rhyming demons? They're bad news. Paradise must be saved, and they have power. Does heaven come to hell in search of aid? Are those cast out soon welcomed back inside? Then danger threatens, sirs, I am dismayed. I'd credited the angels with more pride. Yah! Look out! Ramakrishna's lips, something's alive in there. Or is it like so much within our lives, a case of needs must, when the devil drives? You were waiting for us, demon? Has the news of the summoning reached even here? I saw a soot-black crow glide overhead and onward, beyond reason's farther shores, passing from sight ere I could strike it dead. My spittle singed its feathers, but no more. You tried to stop it? I had feared you might welcome the darkness it flies to awaken. On that point, hell's unable to agree. The baser fiends look forward to the show, while higher cadres tend to side with me in favoring the devil that we know. Clever.
How many stand with us?
Perhaps 200 of the rank and file, 9 rhymers, a troop of cavalry take arms against this resurrection vile, as many siding with our enemy. This war shall burn white hot, and should we fall, then madness will end, without end shall claim us all. So, 9 other rhyming demons and a troop of cavalry of roughly 200 from hell side with them, but 200 others from hell are against them and actually want to see the darkness, a greater darkness than is already that already possesses hell, come and overtake everything. It's a pretty fascinating dichotomy. John, my mind won't take all of this. You shouldn't have pressured me into coming. Pressured? How could a working class lad like me pressure the world's fifth richest man? I'm serious, John. I've never been a mystic. I don't fit in with these people. And with the stress I've been under lately. Look, just relax. Let's go and find a quiet room somewhere. There's plenty of them. I'm not sure I want to relax. I've got a bad feeling. I keep thinking I ought to leave here. Now while I still can. John, you said this wouldn't be dangerous. Was that true? Of course. What sort of person would lie about a thing like that? I think we know what sort of person. No, you're right. I'm sorry, John. I mean, it's just that my life's been strange lately. I'm being followed. Did I tell you that? By superhumans. Well, never mind, Steve. You're safe here. Did you bring the helmet? Of course. Although I can't see why you need it with talents like Zatanna here. Magic isn't everything, believe me. You and your helmet are major factors in my strategy. I mean our strategy. You see, Baron Winter's house is unique. It's not really fixed in time the same way everything else is. It's separate from the everyday world and closer to the intangible realms. That's why I chose it. I figured your helmet enhanced mental abilities can forge a psychic link with the afterworld to channel our energies through. Come on, stick it on. Let's have a test run. John, please. I'm not sure. Steve, come on. This is important. We've got less than 2 hours before the fireworks start to properly test this out. There. Very stylish. Okay, now. Let's start with something nice and easy. That Dr. Occult bloke in the other room. The one who turned up late and uninvited. I don't know him. Could you check him out? I'm trying. From the surface thoughts, he seems genuine enough. I sense great age and power, but incredible. He's aware of my presence. He's shutting me out of his mind. Well, maybe that's a sign that we should move on. Let's see if we can make contact with the spirit dimensions. Yes, I'm getting some vague imagery. I see a bird. It's flying towards me. And there's something in its mouth. Wait a minute. I'm trying to focus on the landscape. It's flying over. Oh, God. Oh, God, John, you should see. There's something as big as a continent beneath me. Some sort of massive fortress, like a huge concentration camp. John, could it be hell? The bird is flying on now, past the fortress. But the territory beyond that point, it isn't like real geography at all. Everything's changing, constantly in flux, shifting from one state to another, conjuring shapes and colors without names. John, this is making me feel sick. I'm going to shift from the bird, try to locate something else. Funny how somehow the image is difficult to shake off. It must be pressing onto the consciousness of every thinking creature there on the other side. Wait, what was that? I just felt I just touched some minds. Ugly, diseased minds. 3 brothers. I think they're some sort of, I don't know, devils? Demons? They've seen the bird pass over and they're very excited about its implications. And then how? The bird imagery, it's getting stronger again. Someone must be thinking about it a lot. I think they're trying. I think it's them. I think it's the ones they're trying to contract. Good Lord, their intelligences. All so different. The yellow thing has a mind like a tub full of boiling cats. The plant creature is a dark green pool. And yet the same anxiety dominates all of their thoughts. Some pretty brilliant imagery from Alan Moore. Flapping, wheeling through a chaotic inferno with neither land nor sky. The pearl in its beak so heavy. All that fear and badness, it's going to drop it soon. It just has to get far enough out into the unmatter. Wait a moment. Am I picking up the bird's thoughts? John, it's thinking. It used to be human. It used to be a woman. Oh, God. It's dying. The chaos is tearing it up. Nothing can live long in that. Its wings are starting to smolder. Its beak's opening to scream. The pearl is falling. Falling down into a soup of half-formed delirium. The splash, did you hear it? It sounded so loud. You could hear it a world away. Everyone seems to have heard it, including the, I guess, leopard in the foreground. It's done, John. The messenger is dead, but the message has been delivered. Do you understand? The message has been delivered. And he is sweating profusely and looks like he may need a cardiac massage soon as well. There's something moving down under the surface of the maelstrom where the pearl sank. Something's coming up. 2 demon creatures trawling on the shores of hell. They see the tide line being sucked out away from them. They're frightened, want to run. No use, both as good as dead. The summoning is over. Here comes the night. Next, the end. And this just looks like a massive tsunami. And these are 2 tiny figures, I guess. The 2 tiny figures here that are trawling on the edge of hell, on the edge of a river in hell. So. And here we are. Great cover, classic issue. The 50th anniversary issue of Swamp Thing, under one of the greatest creative teams in comics history. Alan Moore, Steve Bissette, Rick Veitch, and John Toleben. And you see all of these classic, once again, the supernatural characters from the DC universe, all present. And looks exciting. And presumably a longer issue than the typical issue. And we're back to Cain and Abel, it seems. Well, Alan Moore just has a lot of fun writing these 2 characters. The masochism. Hello down there. Come on, you cringing clot of cholesterol. It's time to get up. I'm going to count to 13, then I start pouring molten lead down on top of you. Ugh. 1, 2, wait, I'm coming as fast as I can. It's not my fault I'm down here. You started arguing about that bird right after we disagreed over which TV channel to watch. Having successfully avoided that reanimated Valley Girl all week, I refused to watch her on TV. Now hurry. I'm hurrying. Getting all of this water out of my lungs wasn't easy, you know. Anyway, you needn't have strangled me. And I still think that bird was a raven. It was a crow, you porcine panty-waist. Now get up here before I do worse than throttle you. I'm calling a house meeting. Something unexpected has arisen. In more ways than one. Oops. Let's take a moment to enjoy this panel again, because everything is done for very kind of black humor. These guys just, he's always kind of mystified. Why did you strangle me? But they're almost compelled to by fate. This is their routine, and they can't escape it no matter what. And you see right here, which is funny, he's finally crawled out of this. He's got an anvil attached to him, which no doubt Cain dropped him down the well with. And even this sort of cartoony house is pretty funny because it looks like it has eyeballs and an expression. And another great 2-page spread. And once again now, Steve Bissett is back along with Rick Veitch and Don Tolibin. After Stan Walk and Alfredo Akela did a brilliant job on the previous issue. The sky, what's wrong with it? What's going on? Ha! Call yourself a keeper of stories. You can't even keep up with the current events. Fortunately, I've managed to remain informed on the situation. That isn't fair. I was down a well with a crushed windpipe. Pah, excuses. My investigations indicate that meddlers on Earth have succeeded in awakening a terrible primordial shadow that slept in the chaos beyond hell. Informed sources expect the darkness to advance upon the afterworld, upon the place of lights itself. Consequently, everyone has chosen sides depending on whom they expect to win. You mean there's doubt? Once again, that sort of terrified house with its eyeballs. And the place of lights, of course, is heaven. And in choosing sides, I would assume that Cain is going to choose the side of the Brujeria's plan attacking heaven, and probably Abel will side with heaven, and that will probably lead to another murderous dispute, but I'm just guessing. Grave doubt. This is no fallen angel of Leviathan heaven faces. This is a soul of darkness itself, a complete absence of divine light. But surely it's only another story, good against evil, light against dark. Idiot, this is the ultimate dark, the ultimate light. The forces and the stakes here are fundamental and absolute. And whichever side meets its final destruction, this day everything will be changed. On the battlefields beneath us, all our stories of right and wrong may come to their inarguable conclusion. And what then, my poor, wretched, overfed dolt of a brother? What shall become of us then? Effectively, Alan Moore saying this is where good and evil, the battle between good and evil is completely resolved. And if that's the case, then whoever wins, there are no more stories to tell. Certainly no more stories about this timeless battle. I never been this close to a herd of demons before. They smell like something crawled up a drain and died. I just keep trying to remember that they're on our side.
In the face of what approaches, they have as much to lose as we. Even hell has its status quo.
That didn't stop the majority of these sleazebags from siding with the opposition. Look at them. Out there in the Badlands surrounding hell, where everything breaks down into chaos, hoping their boy will remember them if he wins.
The dark thing surfaced hours ago. Why don't they attack?
I don't know. Stranger says this thing's been excluded from the ordered universe since its formation. Maybe it's thinking things over before making any bull moves.
Perhaps. Where are the stranger and Etrigan?
Etrigan said that he was going to assemble the higher demons and the cavalry. At least I think that's what he said. The stranger just vanished, his whole Lone Ranger bit. He burns my dead butt. Demons eating hands and bones in the foreground. This great image of hell. The battlefield.
I respect him. I sense a deep sorrow within him, born in silence.
Yeah, well, you haven't been looking too carefree yourself. How are things going with you?
I am troubled. The coming conflict finds me uncertain in my heart on the long and winding path that led me to this place. I have seen much that is evil.
I have helped one community destroy another because it was different and because it posed a threat. Those were the aquatic vampires. And afterwards, I thought, did history's vilest butchers do any worse? Is evil unavoidable? I've seen human beings, both tormentors and the tormented, locked in a dismal circle of pain and retribution, gender against gender, race against race, generations lost, in a maze of death and guilt and gunfire. I've seen the human monsters that this awful pattern has shaped, rejoicing in the senselessness they see in life by killing without motive. The man who started me upon this dark trail promised me answers.
But the answers seem black and unbearable. And as the storm approaches, I need him to explain them to me. But I am in the country of the dead, and he is a universe away.
Still searching for answers from Constantine, from the Parliament of Trees, and only getting very cryptic responses. It's getting closer, John. I know, I can feel it. I suppose I'd better get everybody organized for the ordeal. Ordeal? Nothing. Just one of my quaint English figures of speech. Forget it. You look tired and worried, John. How much sleep have you been getting lately? I can remember a time when you wouldn't have needed to ask. Young man, are we ready to begin? A time when you wouldn't have needed to ask was when they were sleeping together, so she would have definitely known. I suppose so. Okay. What we're attempting to do is direct our combined energies towards aiding the struggle in the afterworld. We start by linking hands. Remember, I'm watching you, young lady. Father. Once the energy flow gets underway, it's important not to break the circle. The feedback could kill us. We all know that, boy. Well, wait, didn't you say this dangerous energy would be channeled through me? Don't worry. As long as nobody panics and releases the hand we're holding, everything will be fine, including you. Now, if we could start our initial probe into the afterworld. Well, if you're sure it's safe. I have a feeling it's definitely not safe for him. I think Constantine's willing to sacrifice anyone and anything in effort to save the world. or to save heaven, surprisingly enough. Although the Mento helmet was designed for this sort of work. Science and sorcery, an explosive combination. I hope you know what you're doing, Constantine. Yeah, well, we'll see. Have you made contact yet, Steve? Yes, I think so. I mean, I'm with that demon creature I encountered during our trial run, the one who speaks in verse. He's preparing for war. Etrigan? I didn't know he was with us. Steve, what's he doing? Has the battle started? No, not yet. He's talking to some other demons. They speak in verse too. I think they're the same rank as him. He's putting on his armor. It's strange. This armor consists of separate metallic lumps with barbed flails attached. He picks them out of a basket and impales them on his spiked harness he's wearing. Wait a minute. It looks like it's wriggling. Oh no. His armor is alive. Dear God, John, what have you allied us with? How strange as darkness falls to side with light. There's no respite within these walls from change. Sweet Liskinel, my carrion-armored friend, 'tis better times should change than they should end. He's putting all of these scorpions on his body, crushing them into the spikes on his chest, and these appear to be starfish that are now covering his eyes, so really resulting in a very fascinatingly weird sort of design. We rhymers are hell's cream, the pit's elite, and yet but fragments of a higher plan God's balance must endure, and its defeat shall not go unopposed by Etrigan. Messed up the meter on that one, I suppose. Come to the stables, we've not time to jaw. My armor rise, anticipating war. Agreed, let us be gone. Our mounts stand near a demon. Peer sits crouched upon each steed. May I remark, though, in poor verse, their aspects fierce, their stench is worse. Most noble Spattlefleck, your rhymes improve. Could they do otherwise? Because they were so bad before. Now let us mount these slobbering, steaming horrors and remove to where the blood runs hot from glory's fount. John, I think the demon and his comrades are riding to join your other allies. I'm going to shift focus and try to find them myself. And reading this, then you have a little bit of a chance to look at all of the stuff that's going on, all of this great stuff that's going on, all this great business, aside from him armoring himself with all this crazy accoutrements. Then you have still this is hell, and so all these crazy tortures are going on. This creature is, strapped down, and his, upper jaw is being cranked by this other creature, and there's all kinds of crazy things going on here, like a spiked horseshoe being lowered. So anyway, pretty fascinating. I've got them. There's a swamp creature, and I don't know, some kind of dead aerialist. They're in an allied demon encampment. The brutes are everywhere, with more arriving by the second. Wait, someone else is arriving, someone unexpected. I can sense a mind, ancient and vast, dusty, sand blowing endlessly across endless bronze desert. He wears a golden helmet, but the mind I'm sensing isn't the mind of the man inside the helmet. It's, John, I think it's the mind of the helmet itself. Dr. Fate? As I said, one of the fantastic designs. Always like this character. The costume, at least. So this is the beggar's army. Arrayed against the threat that drew me hence.
But who are you?
Don't be stupid. That's Dr. Fate. What kind of Blackwater have you been living in? No offense. Literally, he lives in the Blackwater, so. In distant Salem, I sensed the coming storm. If this darkness would trample heaven, Fate's hand shall not be stayed. Yeah, well, it isn't doing much trampling at the moment. Things seem pretty quiet. Lights! Lights coming! Not anymore. Lights! Are we under attack? I think not. Whatever our enemy truly is, light is not amongst its attributes. Furthermore, some of the approaching radiances are known to me, while he who leads them is known to us all. Phantom Stranger returning, I guess, with more help.
Stranger, what are these beings that follow you?
They are those whose aid I journeyed to enlist. Higher consciousness, unfettered by the base demands of flesh. Men call them the Auries, or Valkyries, or angels.
You have friends amongst the angels.
I have acquaintances. There were those who could be trusted to hear my request, but not as friends. Not these days. These days we're more akin to strangers. Yeah, well, the demons don't seem too enthusiastic about him either. That is only natural. What is remarkable is that they should stand united at all. In my considerable span, this is a thing unprecedented. Angels side by side with demons. But this is a really interesting representation of angels. One that you never see. Always see very human forms with angelic wings. Beautiful Michelangelo sort of sculpted type figures. But these are just these amorphous little balls, unhindered by flesh. Indeed, while this truce endures, let us organize them into structured ranks. For the storm worsens and the flood waters of the battle will not be long in breaking. They're getting ready, John. It's starting. Our side is forming into ranks with demon foot soldiers at the front, the angels and our allies immediately behind them. And Etrigan's cavalry has arrived. They're falling in among the foot soldiers. What about the Spectre? Is he there yet? No, I can't sense him. Instead of our allies, perhaps it would be an advantage to study our enemies. Oops. Yes, I can see them, hundreds of them. Every terrible creature I've ever imagined. I see those 3 demon brothers I noticed earlier acting as organizers. Both sides are motionless. It's completely silent. Everyone's waiting for something. John, I think it's moving. It's just been sitting there in the chaos beyond hell ever since it broke the surface, but it's coming. John, oh God. Oh no. It's so big. It just keeps coming up out of the chaos waves, up and up and up. No, stop it. It's nothing that big. I don't want to see. Take care. You've almost snatched your hand away from mine. Yeah, see? He panics. Probably disintegrate. But you don't understand. We can't fight this. It's too big, too big. Too big to think about. It makes us look like nothing. Please, John. I don't want to know. I don't want to know it exists. You've got to let me take the helmet off. John, as a friend, please, I'm begging you. No more. So this is a pearl that dropped into that pool, and now it is emerging. And much, much larger. I'm afraid it's too late for that. I'm sorry, Steve. Your apologies be damned, boy. If the enemy approaches, let us build up our power levels. No, please, John. I can't take this. Dr. Akal and Satana, they're too powerful. My mind won't take the strain. John, he's serious. Shouldn't we forget it? We carry on. Dayton, listen. Much as I hate to admit it, Constantine's right. You can't back out now. If any of us are to leave this room alive, your only hope is to cooperate, to tell us what you see. But I can't. I'm not strong enough. A man is as strong as he will let himself be. That is the first truth of magic. Please, tell us how the battle goes. All right. I mean, I don't have any choice, do I? Damn you, John. I trusted you. If you knew what I was seeing, hurry, the power is building. We must know where to direct it. I said, all right. I'm in our front ranks alongside the demon cavalry. The yellow one, Etrigan. I'm inside his mind. It's white hot. He's thinking, no, that's ridiculous. He wants to charge that thing. It nears siege dark slave before it race. There we must face, however grave my fears. Fears but a monkey, brother Lisquenel. It shall not daunt the bloody dogs of hell. Rhymers, fall back, mates, or we're smoked meat. Says what appears to be like a horned pig. I love how sort of loose and crazy and, somewhat comical and yet grotesque at the same time all of these characters are. All of these panels are. Vile traitors, you do well to be afraid, this Etrigan whose wrath you tempt this day. Your flesh is butter neath my smoking blade. I bathe within your fine arterial spray. Yark! My friend, you flee the strife, I'm dismayed. Without your aid, I fear my life must end. Yes. Lots of arrows through the skull. There's no true friend in hell, no time to waste on slaves. Towards their master I must make haste. He's broken through. Etrigan's broken through the ranks of opposing demons. He's riding straight towards that thing as it rolls up over the hell's shoreline. He's insane. So, in this war, that makes him officer material. If he's attacking, direct the power towards him. Steve, add our muscle to his. I'm trying, but John, he's close to it now. I'm seeing it through his eyes. Its texture, horrible, black corrugations, pitted, eroded. And its hunger massive enough to feel it's been barred from this universe since it began. And it's hungry for knowledge, for understanding. Oh, it's in so much pain. Mento, don't make full contact with it. It'll destroy you. The power's building and you've got to concentrate on Etrigan. Etrigan, He's in trouble. He's fighting it, but he's sinking. The thing's individual plates, just desperate, flowing like black mud. He's drowning. He's drowning in it, creeping up his chest. Oh, it's so cold. It's cold. It's cold. It's cold. Dayton, don't lose him. Keep focusing our power. Help him fight his way free. I'm trying. So difficult to hold on. Etrigan's struggling. He thinks there's a chance he can get out. He's reaching for a handhold. He's gone.
Little thing, you are in me, and I have very great need. Before light, I was endless without name, or need of name. Then light came. Witnessing its otherness, I suffered my first knowledge of self, and all contentment fled. Tell me, little thing, tell me what I am.
Your name is evil, absence of God's light, his shadowed partner, locked in endless fight. The fight is to be endless then,
Little thing, you have taught me fatalism. You have taught me the inevitability. They are not the things I needed. You are not the thing I needed.
And he expels him. Just spits him out of the blackness. John, I'm picking up Etrigan again, but his consciousness in some kind of shock. The thing had just chewed him up and spat him out. It's moving on, continuing across the wastelands toward our army. The way it moves, it's like a slug or I just caught something. A sudden wave of attention. Oh God, it's noticed us. It knows we're watching it. I can feel it shrugging itself like an animal shaking off a fly, flicking us away. Brace yourselves. There could be some sort of shock wave.
The power surge. It hurts.
John, what's happening? It's lashing out at us. Sit tight. Don't let go of my hand. Can you feel it? The force of its blow racing around the circle, looking for a weak link in the circuit.
Winter, I feel Sargon.
John, he's smoldering. He's going to combust.
I'm burning the power. It's too much. I'm getting warmer inside me. No, I will not permit it.
Of all the weak links, I didn't expect it to be Sargon. Thought it would be Mento, of course. But they may be ready to rid the universe of Sargon. It was a Golden Age character, I believe.
No. One of you must help me. I'm Sargon. You cannot let this happen.
Sargon, you're upsetting my daughter. For the honor of our profession, be silent and die like a sorcerer.
You're right. Forgive me. My friends, it was the pain that spoke, not I. Sargon.
Constantine, don't let go, man. Just don't let go. It will be over soon. So Sargon just completely immolated and was actually chastised to die in silence like a sorcerer, and he agreed. How do you hold the hand of a man who just was incinerated to ashes? He burned. He just sat there and he burned. It's all right. The circle wasn't broken. We can carry on. But John, Sargon's dead in your hand. I said we carry on. This isn't the sort of punch-up that we can just walk away from. We carry on fighting to the last man if need be. So Constantine's holding on to this hand. So is someone else, and it's just obviously burning them. Our guys have broken rank. The gutless wimps are running away. When Etrigan and the other rhymers fell, I fear the remaining demons lost what was left of their morale.
Who could blame them? Faced with such a monstrosity, is too big to even fully grasp its shape. It seems to be like a mountain or an island moving relentlessly forward.
As are the armies that support it. though it is difficult to tell whether they run before it in triumph or terror. It matters not whatever the force which drives our enemies' minions. The force that shall stop them is fate. Hey, I'm right behind you, Doc.
Deadman, be careful.
Yeah, I know. Well, he says I'm going to get myself killed. Yeah, I mean, what do you really do to Deadman? He's already dead. I'm just going to speculate that given this thing's size, that don't forget that there is a giant Spectre out there who's really waiting for this. So it's not a spoiler alert. I'm just speculating, but it would make some sense. Abnegazar, wrath and ghast. What have you to gain from siding with this horror? A terrible new universe where we shall be lords of misrule. That is what we have to gain. Expect no quarter. No quarter asked, no quarter given. And he zaps him right after saying that. My brothers, I am slain. Doc, look out. That thing's almost on top of you. On top of merciful Isis. Doc!
Little thing, you are in me, and I have a great need. In this strange place of light and order and names, I have been named evil. Yet naming is not enough. I must know my nature. I must know my purpose. Tell me, little thing, what is evil?
Evil. Evil is a quagmire of ignorance that would drag us back as we climb towards immortal light. A vile, wretched thing to be scrapped from the sandals like dromedary soil. Dr. Fate from the desert, dromedary soil, meaning dromedary crap, camel shit.
Am I so low then? And is he to serve you so high that there can be no possibility of respect between us? Little thing, you have taught me contempt. It is not the answer that was required. Spunk. Scrutch.
So this is fascinating. The greatest evil is just asking people that he absorbs to answer this question. And then he learns from them. From Etrigan, he learned fatalism. From Dr. Fate, he has learned contempt. The contempt that heaven and God has towards him. So this is a really interesting way in which a battle... You have the conventional battle between the demons where they're just fighting, which is the sort of thing you would traditionally get in a superhero book. But then with this bigger thing, you're getting something much, much more intellectual and unusual. And Deadman is flying off with Dr. Fate. He almost looks like he's in tears.
Fate is down. Deadman bears him from the creature's path, but I cannot tell if he is alive or dead. Now nothing stands between the darkness and its targets, save we two and the angels. Where is the Spectre? He said that he would stand with us.
The Spectre's mind has long since traveled beyond my comprehension. Sometimes I fear it has traveled beyond reason itself. And if the Spectre is not reasonable, then the world is doomed.
Are we doomed then? Have I trudged across a continent, witnessing horror after horror, searching for wisdom, finding only defeat? Of what use now are the Parliament of Trees and their cryptic, useless advice?
I would answer you, my friend, were my own heart less troubled and uncertain. Hey, stranger, Fate's just about alive, but he's in shock. What are we going to do to stop that thing? What we can, Boston Brand, what we can. See, the angels advance towards what may be their final stand. After that, the fate of heaven rests in our hands, our frail, fallible hands. And speaking of hands, there are other hands that are helping them. Steve, don't just sit there whimpering, man. Tell us what you see. John, don't bully him. It's tough enough for us, and we're used to this sort of stuff. It's going to get bloody sight tougher unless he cooperates. Dayton, snap out of it. Can't take it. Power building up again. Once it's dead, John, we're a distraction. He's right. I can feel it coming. Prepare yourself for another onslaught. It's coming. Which of us this time, John? Which one of us is going to burn out this time? Dayton, if you don't bloody shut up. John, is it warm in here? All of a sudden I feel, oh God, I think No, I will not allow it. Not my daughter. Sinskrad ikat detsni. Father, no. Father, don't. Take it back. Take the spell back. He's going to sacrifice himself for Zatanna. Indeed he is. It's kind of a pompous ass anyway. Too late, my love. Too late. Constantine, if you do not deliver my daughter safely from this place, my shade shall hound you throughout all eternity. Is that understood? Father! Oh God, somebody help him, Father! Fumph. Oh. Zatanna, please, keep hold of his hand. I know you must be feeling, but... No, you don't. If you knew how I was feeling, you would run as far as you could and crawl under a stone and hide. You involved us in this. My father's dead and it's on your hands. Yeah, they always are. I'm sorry, Zatanna. Really, I am. Oh, for God's sake. Why don't you just get on with it? Okay, whatever you want. Dayton, tell me what's going on in the next world, because I'm sick of as a parrot with this one. It's useless. The angels cannot stop it. I saw Metraton fall, and several of the thrones. Their failure chills me. They're amongst the oldest powers. They knew me when I had a name.
As it nears, its shape grows more definable. It has length like a massive worm, stretching back to the horizon.
Yeah, or maybe a snake. It's, hey, did you feel that tremor? Almost like an earthquake. Fate. Protect Fate. He's helpless.
What was it? Does the afterworld itself begin to collapse beneath the creature's weight?
I don't know, but here it comes again. Thoom. Stranger. Hey, give us a hand, will you? Stranger, come on, man. What's the matter?
Thoom.
Well, there he is. I'm actually surprised. I mean, I don't feel so bad about tipping off that I thought that he would arrive, given that Alan Moore also tipped off that he would arrive when they were speculating, hey, where's the Spectre? They should have just not even mentioned it, so it would be more of a surprise. But still, certainly a welcome sight if the Spectre doesn't prove just as dangerous as the dark thing he faces. Uh-oh. I'd rather be in Pittsburgh. Is that a Boston joke? Pittsburgh is akin to hell for people in Boston, particularly at this time. John, I think it's him, the one you were waiting for. He's arrived. I can't risk making full contact with him. Be like trying to swim the Atlantic. He's smaller than the shadow creature, but he's big enough to have a clearer perspective upon his shape. its front surface convex and featureless like the head of a maggot, its top still obscured by a cloud. Wait, he's getting bigger. In my head, his presence growing louder and louder, his thoughts almost audible. Jim. Who's Jim? Jim Costigan, Kerrigan. No, I lost it. He's up above the clouds now. He can see it all now. It's like a slug with a beetle's shell, a cowl of bone thick as a continent, protecting its blind black head. The Spectre. He's attacking it. I'm directing our power to assist him. He seems pointless, so powerful, can't possibly need it. Hold on, he's noticed something. He's looking up, something above him. Oh wait, what's happening? Towers falling. Dark chimney stacks toppling towards him. Towards me. Where? Where can we be falling from? Where can they be falling from? No, the perspective. It's all wrong. What's happening? Something happened. I lost contact. He's gone.
Little thing, my hunger for understanding grows larger and my patience dwindles. Shall my question be answered, or shall I snuff out the light and be done with the anguish its present causes me? No, I forbid you by the voice that speaks in all things. It does not speak in me. In me there is only the hateful nagging of insoluble query. Tell me, little thing, what is evil for? Evil exists only to be avenged, so that others may see what ruin comes of opposing that great voice and cleave more wholly to its will, fearing its retribution. And what of the tortured eons I endured, unable to broach this maddening brilliance and quiet the pain it woke in me? Do they not demand retribution? Little thing, you have taught me only vengeance. Be gone that I might savor it in solitude.
He's beaten. The Spectre is beaten. That's it. They've taken their best shot. Our allies are finished. So one can only imagine he's learned from each of them that from Swamp Thing is the key component. He will learn maybe what the Parliament of Trees told the Swamp Thing, and perhaps that will save heaven. We shall see. No, the Swamp Thing creature, what's he doing? But John, you don't understand. It's beaten the Spectre. The Swamp Thing can't. I said, what's he doing, damn it, Dayton? This is what I prepared him for. He's with the stranger. They're gazing up at the approaching creature. The stranger, he's so uncertain. Inside himself, he's shaking his head, turning away. He almost seems afraid. But the Swamp Thing, he's walking towards it, toward the wall of blackness. Hey, John, he's going to meet it. He's going. Gone. I mean, if there's a creature that's terrifying enough to destroy or to defeat the Spectre and turn the Phantom Stranger actually fearful, that's a rare occurrence, to say the least.
Little thing, you came to me willingly and without wrath. In this extraordinary place, you are extraordinary. What have you to offer me? I have nothing. I came in resignation. Whatever you are, I cannot fight you, but I cannot stand and watch. Then you will answer my question, little thing. Will you tell me the purpose of evil? I cannot. I am not the one you seek. I have tried to make sense of that darkness, and I have failed. I have seen evil, its cruelty, the randomness with which it ravages innocent and guilty alike. I have not understood it. I asked the Parliament of Trees, whose knowledge is older than greater than mine. They seem to insist that there was no evil, but I have seen evil, and their answer was incomprehensible to me. And yet, they spoke of aphids eating leaves, bugs eating aphids, themselves finally devoured by the soul, feeding the foliage. They asked where evil dwelled within this cycle. Told me to look to the soil. The black soil is rich in foul decay, yet glorious life springs from it. But however dazzling the flourishes of life in the end, all decays to the same black humus. Perhaps evil is the humus formed by virtue's decay. Perhaps it is from that dark, sinister loam that virtue grows strongest. I do not know what they meant. I see. Little thing, I sense a great final end approaching. I would be alone. Leave freely as you came.
And surely Deadman, Boston Brand, and the Phantom Stranger are stunned to see that Swamp Thing walked in on his own volition, and now he is walking out on his own volition. But whether his answer is enough to satisfy this, and maybe this black mass is decay, which means ultimately he gives birth to new life. We shall see. The Swamp Thing, he just walked out of that creature unharmed. What happened? What happened while he was inside? Doesn't matter. Didn't do any good. The horror is carrying on, rolling towards heaven. I think this is it. It's almost at the edge of the lighted region. Our allies have been defending. It'll crush. There's no one left to stand in its way. I can see Etrigan. He's conscious again. And their two demon brothers. They all look as scared as each other. They're waiting for the bang. The Spectre's weeping. He's asking God to forgive him for his failure. It's too late. All too late. From the light now, there's something coming. Something as big as the darkness. No, I can't watch this. I'm not meant to. And the black thing rising up to meet it, to fight it. The shell of bone covering the back of the creature. It looks like, oh no. No. I know what it is. I know what the shell is. I know what these towers were that crushed the Spectre. I know. Oh God. Dayton, hold on. The darkness is lifted way above. Can I see it now? Oh yes, see it all. It's reaching towards heaven. And something bright is reaching out from heaven towards the darkness. The light, the dark. They're going to fight. Everything will be destroyed. They're almost touching the hand of God, the hand of darkness. They're clasping, flowing together. Everything swirling, everyone falling. I can see it all. It doesn't make sense. I don't understand. Oh, God. Oh, God. Is it over? And this poor guy is just completely, it's just completely blown, literally blew his mind. Literally. His ears are steaming. I think he blew out his eardrums. Everything's just, he's drooling. He's just completely, just popped his brain. He may not be dead. He may just be in a vegetative state. I don't think he'll recover from this, but I may be wrong. I don't know. I mean, the power seems to have discharged itself. I think we can release each other's hands. I don't believe it. We did it. We're still here. Not all of us, Constantine. Some of us are dead. Some of us are gone. Its shell, I saw. I know what it was. I know. But then there are always casualties in war like this. I know. You fought a good campaign, Constantine. You have my respect, though I'm unsure as to the exact nature of our victory. Victory. I don't think it was a victory, Baron. More of a no-score draw. A fingernail. I saw it. Big guy, you awake?
Deadman, what happened?
I don't know. After the ground disappeared, I was just falling and screaming along with everyone else. Things seem quiet now, though I saw Fate and the Spectre leave a while back. Guess Etrigan did too.
But the darkness, the blinding hand, reaching out from the heaven, they're both gone.
No, not gone. The light and the shade are still everywhere about us. Only the conflict between them is altered.
Stranger, I do not understand. What has happened here?
Happened. Nothing has happened. Everything has happened. Can't you feel it? Everywhere things look the same, but the feeling is different. Yeah, you're right. Everything's sharper, more distinct. Like the air after a storm. A storm that had been brewing since the universe was formed. Perhaps the atmosphere had grown more charged and oppressive than we realized. I don't know if this is Alan Moore sort of suggesting the aftermath of Crisis, where the atmosphere had grown too oppressive in terms of too many superheroes, too much clutter, too much continuity, and they just needed to clean it all out. I think that's a lot of the subtext, because we're not just talking about the classic versions of heaven and hell, but we're also talking about DC, the DC universe. It went through its crisis and essentially cleansed itself, and this was kind of tied into that. So I think that's subtext.
But the nature of good, the nature of evil, they have not changed.
Perhaps not, but I suspect a different light has been cast upon their relationship. In the heart of the darkness, a flower blossoms, enriching the shadows with its promise of hope. In the fields of light, an adder coils, and the radiant tranquility is lent savor by its sinister presence. Right and wrong, black and white, good and evil. All my existence I have looked from one to the other, fully embracing neither one. Never before have I understood how much they depend upon each other. So the flower growing in hell is what emphasizes their suffering. And the snake, the adder, coiled in a corner of heaven, something that should never be there, but it reminds everyone in heaven not to take it for granted that they're there, that there is ugliness in the world. So each heaven and hell in their conflict, they sort of tainted one another ever so slightly, but they also sort of did each other a favor in that sense.
And after the events of this day, what then? Surely things must change.
Yeah, I guess so. After all, they usually do. Again, perhaps Alan Moore's sort of inside joke that really things won't change very much in the DC universe. Maybe they shuffle the characters. Maybe some people supposedly die. Maybe they clean things up in the continuity a little bit. But it'll be business as usual. And there's nothing more telling than the presence, the Cain and Abel. Business as usual. I don't think things will change between them, and that's the joke here. I guess we'll see right now that things haven't changed at all. They're leaving. It's all over. Perhaps now we'll get some peace. But you heard them. They said about everything being different. They spoke as if good and evil didn't mean the same things anymore. So, who cares? They're still there, aren't they? Now come on, watching a mollusk like you trying to grasp metaphysics is profoundly irritating. But don't you see? Nearly all of our stories revolve around good struggling against evil, darkness against light. What will become of the stories without that ancient conflict to fall back on? What will they be about? Brother, please, don't worry yourself about it. I'm sure we'll think of something. Pushed him right off the cliff. Good and evil have gone nowhere. They're still there. The stories will remain. DC's stories will continue. So on and so forth. But it was an incredible conflict with something, as I said, of a draw. And you see in the foreground here, finally, once again, you see the house. I don't know what that expression is now. I think anger at what Cain has done. And then you see in the foreground some of the credits. Here lies Stephen R. Bissett, late for his own funeral. Alan Moore, rip. Rip Totleben, the dead shall rise again. Veach. And that's the end. Next is Home Free. And this portrait of Swamp Thing was created by the artist John Totleben for the one-shot anthology titled Vertigo Gallery, Dreams and Nightmares, released in 1995, and it is beautiful. These individual pages like this really show how incredibly talented these artists are. I mean, John Totleben, I think, is primarily the inker. I'm sure he does some penciling and does, quite a bit of embellishment to Steve Bissett's work, but you can see, how extraordinarily talented he is as well. Absolutely beautiful. You can see every little, berry in the pits of Swamp Thing's underarms. Amazing. Beautiful. Over the world a bird was flying, a ragged black note on the stave of the wind. Too high for all but the rarest ears the bird flew on, and the taste of the pearl in its beak was unspeakable. From 1983 through 1987, a young British writer named Alan Moore revolutionized the American comic book. His groundbreaking tenure on DC Comics Swamp Thing set new standards for graphic storytelling and touched off a revolution in the medium that is still expanding today, building on the title's framework of gothic horror with a remarkably intuitive narrative style and an unprecedented depth of characterization. Moore's vision was realized through the hauntingly beautiful artwork of such collaborators as Stephen Bissett, John Totleben, Stan Walk, and Rick Veach. The result is one of comics' most enduring masterpieces. This is the fourth of 6 volumes collecting Moore's entire run, reprints issues 43 through 50 of Swamp Thing, and the features the classic stories The Parliament of Trees and The End, as well as introductions by Charles Shaar Murray and Neil Gaiman. And that is the end of book 4, thankfully. and because I wasn't really going to go on any further, because trying to read Swamp Thing's dialogue and the dialogue of the Ultimate Darkness was quite a strain on my voice, and I'm sorry if it didn't work out that well, but I think I did okay, hopefully. But I'm just reading this one sad little note. After a long battle with cancer, Alfredo Akela passed away in April 2000. I didn't know that happened, that he passed away from cancer. But he was an artist who did so much work for DC and for Marvel. A lot of stuff for Conan. And, of course, some beautiful work on Swamp Thing and so many other comics. So always sad to hear of a artist that you kind of grew up with, having a sad ending. Anyway, that is the end of the reading for episode number 10 of Swamp Thing. And once again, if you have any comments or questions, it would be great if you ask them below. And also, of course, if you would like to give a thumbs up, subscribe, be the first to join my Patreon, whatever. Anything would be appreciated, any kind of feedback. But either way, I just hope you enjoyed the reading. And most importantly of all, that you enjoyed Swamp Thing, because it is fantastic. Thanks very much, and I'll see you next time with episode number 11. Goodbye.